Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I hope everybody has been enjoying the Munchkin hip hop there. That's what I was thinking when I was listening to that music. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the July Review Roundtable. My co-hosts this morning are Chuck Klein, Chris Kraus, and Kim Canada. It's good to see you all.
Good to see you too.
Good to see you, Charlie.
Kim, what do you have for us this morning?
Yes, good morning, everybody. Today, we are excited to welcome our guest speaker, Colleen Sweeney, on the most important real estate forums and the NVAR July 2025 changes that just occurred. So let's dive in. Congratulations on our agent of the quarter, Mr. Chi Huang. Mr. Chi received the Executive Club Award in 2024, and with 30 years of dedication to RE/MAX Allegiance, we are proud to have him on our team.
30, that's great.
Always supportive of what we're doing too. He may not come to everything, but we know he's supportive of MBH and CMN, and it is good to see him when it comes to events. So congratulations to Mr. Chi.
Thank you.
And I was 1 year old when he started real estate.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Puts things in perspective.
Yeah, that's a distinction.
Happy anniversary to all of our associates here on the screen. Phyllis Bledsoe with 30 years, Patty Cohen 29, Tim Barley with 15, Heather Carlson with 15, Kevin Bridges with 14, and Jay Jack with 12 years. Congratulations, everyone.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. All right. And our June monthly stats are in. Total transactions, 149, and total sales volume just shy of that 100 million, but 96.5 million. That is crazy. That's a big number. So congrats to everybody that helped participate in that. Definitely not slowing down, speeding up.
A lot of transactions. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very crazy to see some of this. And then speaking of crazy to see, We're including May and June in this $1 million club, and I counted up. We had 51 agents who made it into the $1 million club over the course of the 2 months.
We're gonna need
That's
we're gonna need bigger tables at the lunch.
Yes, we will. It's going to be quite a lunch, isn't it?
Yeah, literally 2 slides, as you can see. Congrats. And first time dollar club winner, introductory people are Don Squires, James Bryson, Ryan Kilman, and Ellen Levy. Congrats on getting into the $1 million club. Now stay here and hang out.
Very cool. Yes, agreed.
Speaking of high sales, though, we had the Pearl team and Tyler Shelton. And so for the Nova DC officers, this is any single home with a value over 2.5 million. And in Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area, this is over 1 million. So congrats to the Pearl team and Tyler for getting this last month.
Very good.
And Tyler told me this morning that he had his best month of his career in June.
What?
Did he really?
So people talking about,
Wow.
It's a tough market, struggling. There's still people that are having their best month and their best year ever. So congrats to Tyler on his best month ever.
A lot of people
Yeah,
have
talk to
said that.
Tyler, see what he's
Yeah,
doing.
very good. Yep.
Congratulations.
Very good.
All right, and CMN Special Awards, these are really awesome awards that I love seeing so many names on. These are associates who have reached the bronze miracle status, and these are now totaling over 500 or more for each of these people. That's Ellen, Lisa, Eddie, Greg, Phil, Carrie, and Lynn. And if you'd like to become a CMN contributor and potentially see your name up here, go ahead and send an email over to Kim, and we can get you involved in this. It all goes to a really great cause.
Sure does. Thanks for supporting the kids.
We're looking at our executive club members that joined the club through the end of June, and these 20 or so agents made just under 100,000 through the end of June. Congratulations. And our next club is the 100% Club, which is under 250,000, over 100. 12 people here through the end of June. Congratulations. And Sebrin, Carrie, Justin, Keegan, Lisa, and Mike, congratulations, over 250,000 at GCI through the end of June.
It's great work.
Really good. And Jessica and Rob, big shout out, over 500,000 through the end of June. Chairman.
Yeah, track into that Diamond Club.
Yeah, no kidding.
Very good.
It's really great. And what do we have? We have a big thank you to everybody to continue to support our MBH and district relationship we're going to see in practice today with Colleen's presentation relative to the updates with the contracts. Thank you, everybody here. Chi is on here, and Chi is consistently on here. We thank him again.
He is.
Next slide. So we have our updated productivity national full service brokerage list, and we right up at 12 transactions almost per side per agent. And notable too is brand awareness. When you roll through this, most everybody's not in the double digits either, with no one else is in double digits with transactions, and just a few are in double digits with brand awareness. Bringing up the bottom is HomeSmart with 2.6 transactions annually per agent with 0.1% brand awareness. So we are very lucky, and congratulations to everybody that helps support the brand annually.
Yeah, for sure. It's good to remain number one.
Yes.
Off to the coaching corner. We've got some cool classes coming up. We want to move to the next slide. The next webinar that we're promoting is From Party to Profit, How Epic Events Built My Real Estate Pipeline. Melissa Pilon is a coaching client of Tom's, and she's going to be discussing that next Tuesday, July 15th at noon Eastern Time. So to log in, you go to tomferry.com, you log in, you'll see this. If you watch it live, you will be able to ask Melissa questions. Otherwise, you can go back and re-watch the program at your leisure. We typically do these webinars on Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon, and we promote 1 or 2 of them a month as a company. So this is one of the ones that we're promoting this month, but there's more that we don't promote. So check it out and use that Tom Ferry platform. We're paying for it, so we're hoping that you're using it.
Very good. Epic events.
That's a great, I mean, I think that people that do events well, they always get referrals at the event. And we know that,
Yeah.
I mean, certainly the members of the collective have heard me preach this numerous times. And the reasons that we do our events, we know that belly to belly are more likely to get referrals right then and there.
Yep.
Coach Amy Lassen, her next class is Where Did Leads Come From? And that's going to be focused on how to generate leads to grow your real estate business, a lively discussion about the nature of lead gen, and she's going to set you up to do the work of filling your pipeline with motivated clients. That's going to be this Monday at 10:30 Eastern at arlingtonroom.com. And the password for that Zoom room, as always, is REMAX.
That should be can't miss.
Her classes are always so good. We are so lucky to still have her involved with our company.
No kidding.
Our friend Edwin Rucker, he's doing his next mastermind coming up next Thursday at 9:30. That's going to be at Gather at the Town Center in Virginia Beach. And Virginia Housing is going to be in the house. And they're going to be discussing home loan opportunities through Virginia Housing. And you will be added to the list of approved realtors on the Virginia Housing official website if you attend that training. So sounds like a good opportunity. Hang out with Edwin. There's always a good breakfast there. So hopefully we'll have a good attendance. And save the dates. We've got a couple more masterminds coming up, on Wednesday, August 6th at 9:30 at Busboys and Poets. As usual, we're going to be doing a mastermind or presentation. We're not quite sure what the content's going to be yet, but it's always good stuff. I look forward to seeing you at Busboys and Poets on the 6th. And then on Thursday, August 21st, Edwin will be gathering at Gather again, and he will be doing his monthly mastermind. So get those on the calendar. We hope to see you there.
Lots of good stuff coming up.
Market update time.
The market.
The market. Next slide, please. Edwin, speaking of Edwin, I was just talking about you. Gathering at Gather. Good morning, and chat with us about June 2025 in Hampton Roads.
Yeah, June. The stats will continue. The numbers will continue to go up, except for two categories. One is the list price received is kind of starting to go down a little bit. It's a little bit under 100%. So agents, what it means to me is that agents are actually pricing the homes about right, for the condition and the location. Also, the number of listings for the month of June over May is down a little bit. We have 3,409. But all the other numbers are up. Median sales price is up. Closed sales, median days on the market. That's interesting one, because the longer the property is still in the market, the more it's going to change toward a buyer's market. We're not quite there yet. We've got a ways to go. Month supply of inventory is at 2.4, which we're kind of at that middle point where you start to see some changes with respect to sellers' attitudes and desire maybe to give more concessions. Market is right. I mean, if people get out there and they do what they're supposed to, they should be able to sell a house.
Opportunities still abound in Hampton Roads.
That's a fact.
Edwin, it's always great to see you. Have a good rest of the day.
All right. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care, Edwin. Ready to see if you hear a rumble. I think we have a tech sound. There we go.
There we go.
Came
It sounded
from
like
the
Edwin was like in an airplane.
yeah, exactly.
I hope he's going somewhere fun. We do not yet have June stats from Bright,
Right.
but we have our weekly stats as usual. But the weekly stats this week ending July 6th, right? It's just the holiday weekend. It's weird. But showings were up we're down week over week, but they were up year over year by 8%, which I think is pretty good news. New purchase contracts were up by 6.5%. Median time to contract, we're almost at 30 days now, which is about a week more than we were a year ago.
Yeah.
And this is for the region, that you see on your screen. I say it every month. Frederick County, Maryland is considered the DC metro area. Prince William
Yeah.
County, Virginia is not. I don't know why. We don't make the rules. We just report the data.
Well, I quickly took a quick look at, so too close in, let's say DC and Arlington,
Oh, good. Yeah.
and then Prince George's and Prince William, because this is where people are going either because they want to be in close or they want to get a better price and move out. So the best-selling category in May for DC and Arlington were 4-bedroom properties.
Mm.
I'm just going to talk about detached.
Mm-hmm.
1.9 in DC is the average. 1.7 in Arlington. And it's true, the best-selling category in detached in Prince George's and in Prince William, 4-bedroom houses. And Prince William, the average is around little light of 7. In Prince George's, it was 4.99-ish. So the action is in the 4 bedrooms when it comes to detached.
Yeah.
But the other piece is that if you're really going to go on a listing call or you're starting out with a buyer, really analyzing what it is they want and where you're going to go and what's really going on and coming across like you spent some time with it is just vital.
Agreed. And knowing what's on the market nearby and what's under contract nearby, and especially being able to tell the seller, I've been in that house.
Yeah.
This is the difference, right?
The best thing you can do right now, and I think one of the agents did it recently and they were able to get a seller to change their mind, is to talk to the agents that have the other things that are under contract close by. What happened? Was that a trade up buyer? Did they come from out of town? Any intel that you can give them is really useful, along with what is the condition of the houses that are under contract, considering yours is sitting. That always is key.
Right. It's an interesting market, and I think that if your competition is staged and shows well, you better be staged and showing well if you want to be priced similarly to them. But we're still seeing multiple offers on certain properties. We know Tim Klassen had that tear down listing in Arlington, gone in 3 days for over $2 million. He had multiple offers.
Yeah, no, everything. But we were talking about it the other day. It is not optional really to have a listing that's not staged. I'm
on board with that. You've heard me preach that for years. Yeah.
Exceptions we know, but
Yep.
if you're going to have a house and you're going to get it out there and you're going to want the momentum, get it staged and have it look great.
Agreed. Back to our little chart here. We know that active listings are up. We don't have quite the buyers to support that, but it doesn't say on here, but we're still at about where Hampton Roads is, I think, Chuck, 2.5, 3 months of inventory. It's not the dismal market by any stretch that we're seeing in Florida, Texas, and some other areas. So I think considering the headwinds that we've had with Doge and layoffs and the uncertainties around that, I think the agents have been doing a good job, and we just have to continue to work harder this year in a slower market.
To stay determined, you have to do more.
Indeed.
Activity. More activity. Don't watch the news.
Yeah, turn off the news. Indeed. What's our next slide here, Maffin? The T3 Home Demand Index, we're at 101, which looks like the same from a month ago, but higher than a year ago, surprisingly.
That is
up 15% year over year for the DC metro market.
Yeah. Well, next stop will be fall.
Yeah, exactly. Chris is back. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hello. I know. I'm excited today. I'm going to get to talk before everybody else.
Yeah.
That's usually.
You don't get edged out today.
I know. Yeah, I'm excited about that, and I'll keep it short still. Or at this rate, I should actually do like 10 to 15 minutes on marketing. Keep you on your toes. But okay, let's head into it. I definitely have some cool stuff to talk about. If we can head to the next slide, I'm going to talk to you about Google Ads specifically. Google Ads are something that we have started and figured out how we can run them for the agents. And we've already started. Some of you have already reached out about this. You'll hear in a second that we are doing classes on Google Ads and Meta Ads. But we know that this can be complicated even once you learn it yourself. It's still hard. It's still time consuming. So we can take that off your hands and we can run them. And as an example for the collective, we've run ads for properties since the beginning of June, and we are already at over 650,000 views. That's a crazy amount that we have been able to amass on these listings. So even if you're not doing a listing, you're doing a neighborhood video, you're doing anything else like that, you just want to push your content out there, get it in right at the front eyes, or you're trying to build leads. Go to where people are looking. They're on Google. They are searching for real estate. Find them where they're at. It's super inexpensive, and in my personal opinion, has a great ROI. So now let's actually invite you to one of the classes. You want to figure out how the sausage is made? We'll teach you, and then you can come and you can tell us we're so cool, and you'd rather just have us do it. So class-wise, though, we have. If you can head over to the next slide, Mathen, we have simplifying Google Ads, and this is going to be on Friday, this Friday, and July 11th at 10 a.m. Obviously hosted by me. I look so good there in that suit. They tell me not to let this get to my head, but I was happy that day. But anyway, register there. We can teach you how to do Google Ads. We walk through the entire process: search ads, video ads, and display ads. We'll show you the whole shebang. So come check it out. It's a great class. We always have a lot of fun on all of these. If you can't make it, please register because you'll get a copy of the recording, and we at least want you to have a copy so you can watch back through it. So we have that one. Now on the other end, we have Meta Ads. And for those that don't know, Meta Ads are your Facebook and your Instagram ads. These are pretty awesome in that you can actually get a whole bunch of clicks. We've seen such high click rate on Facebook and Instagram. Mappin, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. And so that's Friday, July 25th at 10 a.m. And again, click rate is so high on these. It's so easy to get people to click through and take a look at your property. So we walk you through how to start your ad out and then how to kind of carry it through its life cycle and what you should be looking for and what you should kind of skip around in terms of settings. So please check this out. Again, that's Friday, July 25th. Just register. You'll get a copy of the recording. And then last but not least, we have our one-on-one meetings. Obviously, you have me, not in my suit here, and we have Monique, and just shoot us a message. We can walk through, we can talk to you about marketing. We can really get to the nitty-gritty of what would make your marketing work better, and we can hear ideas from you. So sign up. It's completely free. Take advantage of this, especially being a member of Remax. So. And then last but not least, we have MBH come back on.
We do.
Thanks,
MBH
Charlie.
is coming up. Thank you, Chris. And my understanding is on your class on 7-Eleven Day, you're going to have Slurpees delivered to all of the attendees that show up to the class. So I think that was that's a great gift.
Yeah, if you don't show up, no Slurpee for you.
No Slurpee for you. I will say that doing these ads, it enables you to have easier conversations with sellers when it comes to price reductions, when you can show them that their listing has had tens of thousands of views. It just really creates a different conversation, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had a conversation actually just in short with Chris Logan about this, and Chris was telling me, there wasn't a lot of traction, but when he went there in terms of showings, but when he went there and he was able to say, man, I had 25,000 views on this property, that's enough for a seller to be like, oh, okay, like people are seeing my
People
property,
see it online,
so,
but they don't want to see it in person, which means there's a problem, perhaps with the price.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Very good.
So.
Mathen, are our MBH guests here? Here we go. Julie Turner, it's great to see you as always.
Hello.
Colleen as well. Good morning. Julie, what do you have for us today before Colleen kicks off the rest of the meeting?
Sure, no worries. Thank you all so much. Julie Turner here with MBH Settlement Group. Congratulations to all the award recipients for top producing. And so again, my name is Julie Turner with MBH. I have Colleen Sweeney online today, and she will be going over all the updates on the new forms for NVAR. And so I know that she knows them inside and out. I'm sure she's saying them in her dreams. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to her or myself for these changes in the NVAR forms. But also, just as a reminder, reach out to me. Let me help you reach out to your sphere of influence. Let me help you to help with listings as well as buy side. I was with Kevin Love yesterday, and we're about to put on his new beautiful estate lot listing. So I was out there helping him yesterday. So again, give me a call and let me see how I can help you. So thanks so much for being here, Colleen, and thank you all very much with Remax Allegiance.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for having me and for helping me with this new platform. Excited to be here. Wanted to talk through with you guys the NVAR form changes. And let me just say, I teach this class quite a bit, and I've had several people say this feels very overwhelming. I promise you, it's not overwhelming. There's some changes, but they all are pretty streamlined, and they're really, the goal of the form changes are to make you guys as agents have a better understanding of how to use the forms, that they work for you. NVAR has done a lot of work in that area. So don't feel overwhelmed. Here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm going to present this presentation all the way through, but if we have time at the end, I'll certainly take questions or feel free to email them to me. I will tell you, since I've taught it so many times, one of the things that I've done is tried to answer the frequently asked questions as part of this presentation. So let's hop right in here. Oops. There we go. So yes, these are the form changes for July 1st, 2025. Okay. And where can you review the July 1st form changes? Well, they're always going to be on NVAR's website about a month early. I think it's sometimes a little bit difficult for people because they see them pop up on July 1st on their forms platform, and that makes it a little bit difficult. So I want to just point out to people about a month before the board has approved the changes, and then you can go to the NVAR website. And one of the things, I have the QR code there for you guys to look at, but the educational version of the forms are going to be available for you to look at ahead of time. I personally wouldn't want to be seeing them for the first time on July 1st. So this is something for you guys to just understand. So you literally click on the link when you're on the website, and it will come up as the educational version, so you can look at them before. Another thing that's great about this is you can look at the form changes all the years in the past. So if you want to say, why did this form change? When did it change? That's all on there as well. And interestingly, there's lots of times where that provides some insight that's helpful. So one of the big things of the changes for the forms is the NVAR is introducing a clause library. And the goal is to put important language into the hands of the agents so that we're addressing common situations that arise during residential transactions and lease transactions. So you are not writing legal language yourself. And that, of course, is something that I know is really difficult to try to navigate. So we're going to talk about that a little bit at the end, but that's a really important aspect for you guys to be aware of. All right, so first I'm going to tell you, really, this is the roadmap of what's going to be in the clauses library for the sales transactions, the extension of settlement date, the extension of contingency deadline, withdrawal of offer, which is an email, the backup contract addendum, as is property condition, the 1031 for the buyer and seller, and the real estate cooperative. Okay, so this is important. I just want to highlight this for you because when you're looking for this information, it's going to be in the clause library. All right, and there's also some for the early termination of lease, both for the tenant and the landlord. Again, the NVAR's goal is to continue to expand this clause library. This is what's going to be on there at first, okay? All right, so I want to focus in on the residential sales contract and the sales contract for unimproved land because, quite frankly, this is what you as agents are most focused on generally. And I'm going to start with something that really everyone needs to know, and that is that the NVAR contracts are copyrighted. And I want to bring this up because this changed in that this is going to be at the top of all of the forms, okay, for the residential sales contract. It's going to be say the form may only be used by realtors and others as authorized by NVAR. All other use is prohibited. I know that NVAR is going to start sending out some cease and desist letters for people, honestly, lawyers also, who use these forms that are not authorized to use them. And one of the reasons I want to bring it up to you is there's a lot of pressure on agents who have somebody who says, well, I do only do one transaction a year. Can't you just give me the forms? The answer is no. That's to protect you. You're paying for this service. So I just want to highlight that for you so nobody gets caught in that cease and desist situation, all right? All right, so let's get to the meat of it. So these are the forms that were changed in the following way: the residential sales contract. Paragraph 2 and 33 have been updated to include the VA loan assumption as an option under financing, and the added a new checkbox under additions. That's because we're going to see a new loan assumption, a VA loan assumption form, which is fantastic, and we're going to talk through that as well. All right, so I always like to kind of look at how the paragraph was changed. So this is when you're looking at the new paragraph 2 in the residential sales contract. I've highlighted it. You can now check VA assumption, okay? And then in paragraph 33, where we see additions, you're going to be able to highlight the check the Virginia loan assumption addendum. So that's where you're going to actually see those changes. The new loan assumption addendum is going to be K1405, just for your information. All right, so the next change is delivery. Excuse me. The update here reflects the law change, which states that the resale certificate can be to either the buyer or the buyer's agent. I do not want to belabor this aspect of it, but as I've been teaching this, I have been very surprised at how many people still continue to have confusion over this, and I don't want that to catch anybody off guard. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about this because it is the one area I was with brokers this week. I was teaching at NVAR, and a lot of brokers still continue to misunderstand this, okay? So what I really want your takeaway here to be is pay attention to your inboxes. According to the law, if the resale certificate comes to the buyer's agent only, that's going to start the clock for the rescission period, okay? In fact, what I would say is no matter how you get it, you need to be starting the clock. Delivery to the buyer of the resale certificate must be delivered according to the terms of paragraph 6 to start the clock. But any delivery, this is what's going to catch people off guard. Any delivery should start the clock. And I want you guys to keep that in mind. If you run into, and Ryan Stewart teaches this all the time and he's phenomenal at it, but if you run into somebody in the grocery store and you hand them the resale certificate, guess what? Under the law, that's what starts the clock. One of the reasons this is really important to keep in mind is because you want to be educating your client, right? If they get the resale certificate, they need to know that clock starts, because if it's sent to them and you don't know that it's sent, then the time still can starts. So be very careful about that. Educate your clients. This is an important aspect, okay? And what do we see? This is the old language from the January 25 contract, and here's the new language. And you'll see under delivery, the paragraph specifies the general delivery requirements under the contract. For delivery of property of condominium association documents, delivery must be to the buyers as set forth below or the buyer's agent, okay? I will tell you, a lot of discussion happened about the Resale Disclosure Act, and it's something that people are very frustrated about, but it's the law. The reason the forms are written this way because it tracks the statute exactly, and it cannot be waived by contract. So there's nothing that can be done in terms of this, and we want to make sure that you guys are educated and you're properly educating your clients. So again, monitor your inbox. If the resale certificate comes to either the buyer's agent only, that will still start the clock for the rescission period. And of course, then people are frustrated. How do I control this situation? If it's going to go to the buyer, it does have to go pursuant to the terms that you all have specified. But the practice pointer here is really the requirement for delivery to the buyer is restricted by the contract, but a court may say it can be delivered in any of the prescribed ways under the code. So educate your client that if they get the resale certificate, presume that the time has started. And there's so much important information in the resale certificate. That's why it's important for you guys to understand this as well. Okay, so the next thing we see is the Resale Disclosure Act in paragraph 8. That 9 o'clock deadline to delivery of the resale certificate was added for consistency. This is a topic of great discussion. I'm on the forms committee, and so what's trying to be done is what's the right time period so you guys are not staying up till midnight waiting for emails, but also understanding that your clients are often in secured locations they can't get. So 9 o'clock is what has always been determined as a great time. Some people want it 7, but 9 o'clock was what was determined. The resale certificate, this paragraph was used to clarify ambiguities. The previous language regarding the buyer's preferred method of delivery has been removed because that's something that is causing more of confusion, okay, because of the way the act is written. Okay, again, the update reflects the Virginia law about when the contract can be canceled, and it says very clearly it can be to the purchaser or the purchaser's agent. And so that's what we're really making sure is clear to everyone. All right, so normally I do this side-by-side comparison. What's the old contract say and what's the new contract? I really didn't do it here because I thought it caused more confusion. Bottom line, what I want you guys to see here is just focus on what's in yellow, and that's the changes that have happened. And more specifically also, I want to say, for your information, see K1390, Understanding Your Rights Under the Resale Disclosure Act. This form was also updated. I'm going to go over that with you because it really is a roadmap for you guys to explain it to your client and make sure they understand it, and also provide you guys some protection that it has been provided, the information has been provided. All right, paragraph 9 changed the walks through inspection to final walkthrough. It was just to reduce confusion as to the purpose and scope of this type of access. It is, again, multiple, it can be multiple final walkthroughs. And so this was a change that was determined that would just help with some people who have confusion on this. All right. Paragraph 23 removed the language pertaining to reimbursement for the escrow accounts on loan assumptions. Again, we're going to go through that because of the new VA loan assumption. And it included a new subsection B for rollback taxes and land use assessment program. This is just mirroring what's in the sales contract for unimproved land. But the forum's NVAR's reach has really expanded. And so it was something that was determined would be helpful in all of the contracts. So what is that going to look like? So paragraph 23 now has that B section. Again, this was already in the unimproved land. It's not new language per se, but it wasn't in the contract. All right. So a lot of people who are inside the Beltway, they're like, what does this mean? You really, if you're inside the Belt, you're not going to need to know that. But the land use assessment program typically applies to properties being used for agricultural or farming. You can check the tax records if you're not sure, and it's something that we can help you with as well at MVH. All right, so definitions, there was some clarification regarding the definition of ratification and clarifying when the 9 o'clock deadline was used. Ratification means delivery of the final acceptance in writing by the buyer and seller to all the terms. So this was really important, and I'll tell you why it's going to affect you guys, because sometimes we as attorneys get calls like, oh my gosh, I just got another offer. Can I accept that other offer? And there wasn't a definitive time in the contract of whether it was an actual second when the contract actually was determined to be ratified. So that's why that definition was updated. The way that this works is there's attorneys on the forms committee, but we also are on what's called the attorney roundtable. So we're monitoring things that potentially come up in litigation. And so while this didn't, it was determined that it was important that we have an actual specific time. So that was why this was added. And you'll see that for the purposes of computing the time periods in response to delivery, the first day will be the day following delivery, and the time period will end at 9 p.m. on the day specified. Okay. All right, paragraph 30, which is entire agreement. The language was updated just to be clear on when the contract becomes legally binding. Again, it's upon ratification, and that ties back to what we just talked about. The Form K-1210. So we're done the residential sales contract changes. They really are nothing too overwhelming. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. I think sometimes, specifically after last year when we saw a lot of changes as a result of the lawsuit, people get a little concerned about these changes. Each time the forms change, it's really just a way to make them better, more clear. There's no such thing as a perfect contract, but we're striving for that. So that's all the changes in residential sales contract. Again, there's nothing there that it should be too difficult, but always feel free to reach out. K-1210, final walkthrough inspections. This was just, the change was the name. It's just retitled. So when you're going to look through the walkthrough, you want to look for that new form. It's still the same form though, 1210. It also removed trash compactor to mirror the residential sales contract. All right, the new home sales addendum. This change addressed ambiguities to clarify that the inspector can be present at the inspection, and also the time frames about the pre-completion date inspection may occur. I've highlighted that language. I know you guys are going to get these slides, so I'm not going to belabor this point, so I can spend a little more time on things I think will be more helpful to you. All right, this is a big one. It's K-1390, and I referenced it earlier. It's understanding your rights under the Resale Disclosure Act. This paragraph 1B14 was updated pursuant to the changes, excuse me, in the Virginia law. Okay, significantly updated the section on the buyer's right of cancellation. So it's in layman's terms. Again, this form is your friend. It also clarified that the parties agree that the buyer has 0 days to cancel the contract. If that's what you all have put in, that is not a waiver. It cannot be a waiver because the law doesn't allow it. Okay, and also added that 9 p.m. deadline. So these are important things to talk about with your clients so they understand this. It clarified that the delivery of an incomplete, outdated resale certificate, or both, or either, still constitutes valid delivery. This is highly important, and I'm really, really surprised how often people are getting these resale certificates and they're like, well, it's not complete, or it's outdated, and therefore the time doesn't start. Let me just assure you that under the code, it absolutely does. You have options. You can ask for an extension and an update and things like that, but it still starts the period running for that rescission, okay? So keep that in mind. I added this part of it because I've seen this mistake over and over by agents when I talk about this. So keep that in mind, all right? So this is what this form looks like. It's been substantially changed. I want you to be familiar with it. But really, again, it's a roadmap. It's an excellent thing for you guys to talk about. Make sure you're saying to your clients, listen, when you get this resale certificate, make sure you let me know, okay? So here's some things I want to just make sure that everyone is aware of. This paragraph B is important for agents to understand. Should the parties agree to that 0 days, it's not a waiver, okay? And you don't want to set your clients up, the seller, saying, oh, there's no contingencies. Well, if there's an HOA or a condo, this effectively can allow for a contract to not go through. So be careful how you talk about that. Again, the buyer has until 9 p.m. on the ratification date or date of delivery, whichever is applicable, how you wrote the contract, okay? In order, unless it hasn't been received by settlement, all right? And also part 2, understanding the Resale Disclosure Act. Make sure you're providing the form to your clients to help to explain it and the importance and why this information is critical for them. All right, this form, again, is a great outline for you as agents to cover. One other thing, I think I've been asked, I think almost every single time I've presented this, so why wouldn't I just deliver the resale certificate at 8:59? And you know, I understand that. I understand why people say, well, that basically ties the buyer's hand from being able to potentially not be able to do anything. But I just always like to emphasize this, and I talked a lot about this when I was presenting this to the brokers yesterday. Like, your reputation and your license are the most important things that you have. And we're still in a competitive market. And if you do something like that and then you make an offer to somebody who this has happened to, and they say, well, we're multiple offers here. I didn't like their ethics last time. I'm not going to pick that contract. I mean, I think it's really important to keep that in mind. You're going to see the same agents over and over again. So few agents do so much of the business. So can you do it? Yep, you can do it at 8:59, provided it's, received by 8:59. You're playing a little game there either way. But please, think about what you do and think about your reputation. And remember, the most valuable asset you probably own is your license. All right. The buyer's acknowledgement of adverse consequences. This is one thing I don't want to overhype, but if I was you all, I would be using this absolutely all the time. So the changes to this form included alphabetizing it, updated the disclaimer language, added an option for acknowledging the risk of waiver of an in-person tour. We all know that there's military families who come, who are moving here that aren't going to be able to see a property, but they want to buy it. There's a video tour. And that's not the same thing, right? It's not the same thing as seeing it in person. It added a section for the inclusion of as-is clauses and pre- and post-settlement occupancy terms and others, and added a new section for the inclusion of potentially adverse terms to an offer. So here's what the new form looks like. I've highlighted all the newer stuff in yellow. And again, this form is your friend. If you're going to be in one of these situations, make sure you're using this form. It's going to cover you, because when your client comes back and says, well, I didn't know, you can say, well, you did know, and here's this form. We don't want anyone to be in that situation, but trust me, it will relieve you from so much stress when you're using this form properly. It's a great tool for you. Remember to use it in the situations outlined here, but also when you believe your client is taking any other risk, right? That's what other is for. So fill that in, something that's unique to your circumstances in a contract. I would highly recommend using it with post-separate settlement occupancy. Now, I know that post-settlement occupancy win contracts. Absolutely, I understand why you guys use them, but there's significant risk involved. And I can't teach this anything about post-settlement occupancy without really giving you something I think is a really important, valuable asset that you can give your client in terms of information, right? It's really how you differentiate yourself. If you're going to use a post-settlement occupancy, you need to tell your seller, you need to take a copy of the post-settlement occupancy agreement, have them provide it to their insurance company so they understand what type of insurance can be in place. I can't tell you how many times people get to the settlement table and I ask them about insurance just to make sure we're in a good place, and they say, oh, I still have my homeowner's insurance in place. At settlement, after settlement, they are no longer the homeowner, right? A homeowner's policy is not going to help them. So that's something, to keep in mind. I always like to bring that up. I'm surprised how often it comes up. And again, I'm just telling you that what I would do is literally tell them, give the post-settlement occupancy document to your insurance company so they make sure they have the right thing in place. All right. Private well or septic inspection. I'm going to go through this. I can tell you there's full classes being taught on these changes. It's really a lot to do with the law changes, or it is about the law changes. Paragraph 1A added an option for laboratory conducting of the water potability tests to be either certified or accredited. It's just pursuant to the regulations. Updated the form to reflect the VA law on mandatory minimum requirements, combined some alternate and conventional septic system types, and clarified that septic inspections include an inspection of all readily accessible and openable components of the septic system, pumping of the septic system, and excavation if it's deemed necessary. So the sole risk of damage and restoration still lies with the purchasing party. And here is why this form changed a lot. This is the law change that happened, the redlined version of the law. I don't want to belabor this, but if you all are doing anything with septics, please go take a class on this. And again, it doesn't apply to everyone, but here's a QR code to this so you can see very specifically how the law was changed. This is, again, the changes to what the private well and septic inspection looks like now. The party ordering the septic is responsible for any damage. This is important because if you're the buyer and you're ordering it, and this literally was an example that was used, and in order to access it, they had to take up a patio. Why anybody did this, I don't know. But they had to take up a patio. Make sure you understand, then you're responsible for putting the patio back. Again, another thing to highlight here is under the new Virginia law, the septic inspector has 10 business days to provide the inspection report. Keep that in mind for your contingencies timelines. Be sure your seller order their operating permits for the Department of Health as soon as possible, because unbelievably, these permits take a lot longer than you think they do. All right. The VA loan assumption addendum. So a lot of you guys, thank you for using MBA to do, and this is something that we had been providing to try to assist clients. It's very similar to the form that we were using, but it's now a more formal mechanism to transfer the existing VA loan from a seller to a buyer, outlining the terms and conditions of the loan transfer. So make sure that all the parties understand the rights and obligations. All right. It's not intended to be used with a VA financing contingency. And again, these loan assumptions can take longer than you expect. So be mindful of your timelines. It does create its own contingency. So I'm going to walk you through this. This is one I think people will use. The prefatory paragraphs requires the buyer and seller work diligently in good faith with the lender. This is a process that only can happen in the timeline set forth if the buyer and seller are working together, okay? It identifies the current lender. Paragraph 1, you're going to put the lender in. It identifies the loan terms. This is really important because the buyer needs to understand what's the balance, what's the interest rate, what's the original term, the date of the note, the current payment. This is really important information that nobody should be taking on a VA loan without understanding all of that, okay? And that wasn't always happening. The note review period is now 5 days. The seller acknowledges payments are current and that they shall continue to pay. Another thing that caused a lot of confusion, making sure that all the details that are pretty complicated with a VA assumption are attended to in this form. The assumption fee and lender charges are going to be paid by the buyer, it outlines. The escrows will be prorated and funded by the seller if necessary. Like normally, there should be money in the escrow, but if they actually are not fully funded, then the seller is going to be paying the portion that they owe. The parties will be required to obtain the release of the seller's liability for repayment. This is important and was something that was causing some heartache. Nobody wants to continue to be required to be on the loan. All right, on the next page, the substitution of entitlements. Again, if the buyer's not a veteran, obviously that's going to be something that has to be attended to. So you say will or will not, whether there's going to be that substitution. So the seller is required to contact the lender in a timely fashion to obtain the loan application and provide them to the buyer. The parties are required to provide notice to the other of the lender approval denial of the assumption. All right, the contract is going to be void if the lender provides a denial letter that a VA loan assumption cannot be completed and or the seller's personal liability cannot be released. This is really important. It was something that, again, was often overlooked. So this is making sure all the parties are protected here. Paragraph 12 outlines that the assumption can take more than 45 days. So the VA put out some guidance. It's supposed to happen in 45 days. It continues to be something that doesn't always happen in 45 days. And so it also kind of outlines what happens if it's not complete. You can agree to that automatic extension. And if after that extension, the loan's not approved, the parties can agree to extend or to void. So in the event you do have a VA assumption, this is something you want to be very familiar with and definitely utilize. And a lot of brain power went into this in terms of what you as agents needed to say and what we also believe legally should say. All right. Again, this extension of the settlement date is important to know because it doesn't affect your other contingencies. So be mindful of that. All right, so here's some exciting stuff with the introduction of the clause library. Again, goal putting that important information in your hands. It really is to standardize some language, which will help, I think, a lot of people with heartache they have about how exactly do I say something. I don't know what it's going to look like or does look like. I know that there were some problems for some of the platforms getting this language on there, but it should be on there. And if it's not, you can also look at the forms. That's one of the reasons I gave you that first slide with that QR link, because you could always grab that language off the educational forms if you wanted to. The clause library is going to include the language for both the residential and the leasing. And users, you really can copy and paste the subsections that apply into the addendums or the emails, all right? It's commonly used contract provisions. That's the goal here, all right? So all provisions from K1344, the contingencies and clauses addendum, are going to be included in that clause library. So here's some important things for you guys to know. The italicized language in the clause library is included for guidance only and should not be included. Don't just copy and paste. Read what you're looking at and make sure that you're using that. Again, here's all the things that you're going to be able to see there. Early termination of lease is going to be in there, and you can apply, determine which parts you want to use. It doesn't have to be all of it. The landlord request early termination is also available, all right? The extension of the settlement date, I really want to kind of focus on this one for you. It's when you want to extend the settlement date. This, again, is something that causes some heartache for people. How do I write this exactly? You're going to choose which subsections of the clause apply, like do the removal of the contingencies, anything like that. But pick and choose which part is the clause that works for you. Okay, so here's what I want to say. In here is an extension fee, right? And if you're the buyer and you want an extension of the settlement date, and you include that extension fee little box to check, guess what? The seller's going to be like, yep, I want an extension fee. So if I'm going to use this form, I'm going to take out the italicized stuff, and I'm not going to put that extension fee in there. Normally, we don't see extension fees, so we don't want to put that idea in the seller's head that they should be getting money for that. So again, look at it, carefully read what you're using, get the italicized information out of it, and tailor it to your specific situation. All right, this one is the extension of the contingency deadline. Again, just putting this information in your hands. But do remember that changing certain deadlines impacts some other things like negotiation period. Again, you have to look at the contract, the totality of the contract, and make sure you understand those impacts as well. Withdrawal of offer. Okay, one thing I wanted to do here is just say, this is for use of submission after an offer. It's often like, it's frustrating. I know as agents, people don't get back to you, and you call me and say, oh, what am I supposed to do? Well, remember, if you're going to withdraw an offer, you can't use an addendum. You can't put this in an addendum because you don't have a contract. So this is really language related to what you could put in an email. Okay. It's unilateral. It doesn't have to be signed, it doesn't have to be signed by anyone other than the person making the offer, or you as agents on their behalf, okay? This would be a great fit for emails. All right, so here are some administrative changes. Again, these are just changes where little things like the notation on the VA financing contingency, removal of the references to the assumption, the lease addendum was just updated to ratified on to dated. The optional listing information, remove the trash compactor just so it's consistent with all the forms. And that information cover sheet is something was added in terms of an option for the VA assumption. So that's the big changes. And again, these administrative changes you would probably never even notice. But I went through those very quickly, fast and furious, as I was told yesterday. I went through them. But I did a full class on this. You can watch it on YouTube, and there's a QR link to it. Please, after you watch it, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. We at NVH, that's part of our partnership. We want to make sure that we're supporting you. So again, I appreciate your time. There's my contact information if you have any follow-up questions. We're here to support you.
Julie, Colleen, that was great. There's a lot there. I can't imagine what goes on in a contract panel meeting for you guys when you're starting out on this.
Yeah, it's a lot, but you know, it's great because, and listen, the committee applications are open right now for NVAR, and anyone that's interested should definitely apply. I love this committee. I mean, it's a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah.
it's, if you want a deep dive and a true understanding of
Yep.
the contracts and the addendums, it's a great committee to try to join.
The library's a good idea, it looks like.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it causes undue stress for people to try to figure out exactly what wording to use. So the goal was definitely to put that information in agents' hands.
Cuts down on us texting you. Can you whip this up for us?
Yeah,
Hey, thanks so much for your time.
you're welcome.
Really appreciate it. Looks like that's it. There we go.
Hello again.
Is that the end of our
That's
show?
the end of our show. Yes. Thank you all for watching. We will be sending the recording out, and we'll see you next month at
Very
the
good.
next review
Thanks,
roundtable.
everybody. Have a great
Yeah,
month.
thanks
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.